Aiming isn't all about having insane mouse control. In fact, there's a common paradoxical complaint from people who have just started playing aim trainers, who then remark on their aim getting worse. How can that be? Well, the main culprit is suddenly thinking too much about aim while playing and too little about good gameplay choices and decision making. The fact is, playing well makes aiming easier. You put yourself in advantageous positions. So for this video, let's forget about the mouse control grind for a moment and instead focus on 5 simple things you can do to instantly improve your FPS gameplay and as a result, also your aiming in game. And I'll try to include a few that you likely haven't heard before. First up is to change your movement direction as soon as you get unexpectedly shot, and I really do mean as soon as possible. If you are unexpectedly shot and you keep moving in the same direction, even if it's for just a few moments, you are going to get beamed in just about any game, even if it has a longer time to kill. Imagine it from the shooter's perspective. They see someone running in a straight line, they get to line up that track and take some seriously easy shots. Now let's get back into your shoes. You've just been hit and your first reaction is to change direction and find the shooter. Most games will have visual and audio cues to show you where the hit came from, so you can follow these. If we go back to the shooter's perspective, they keep firing along that same trajectory for the next 200-ish milliseconds, which is around the average reaction time. They cannot avoid doing this. Everything they see on their screen is 200 milliseconds in the past. Reaction time is a hard limit that we can use to our advantage. This is also why AD strafing can seem so hard to aim at, as every change in direction incurs that reaction time tax and you can feel like you're always playing catch up. There are ways around this with prediction and movement reading, but that's a whole other topic. The simple premise here is to get into the habit of instantly changing direction when you are unexpectedly shot. Whether you use that reaction time tax to fight back or find cover is up to you. If you already have great aim, this habit is an excellent way to make use of it and turn these normally doomed situations into a free kill. The second tip is to not peek the same angle twice. If people know where you are or where you've just been taking shots from, that specific angle is now poisoned. You can technically still use it, but chances are you're going to have a bad time. In this sort of situation, it barely even matters whether your opponents are good players with good aim or not. They can pre-aim your spot and simply shoot when you appear. It may feel a bit silly, but it's shockingly effective to bounce around different angles every time you peek. This doesn't just apply to situations where you're trading shots with the enemy and no one's dying. Even if you're getting kills, it's a great idea to mix up your angles and positioning between them. Most games will have some kind of indicator on the map showing your position after you shoot, and all players will often be communicating and will call out or ping your position. This means everyone can pre-aim you, which makes things very dangerous. By quickly repositioning, you not only avoid being pre-aimed, but you can also take some easy shots on people who are busy moving to or looking at your previous location. The third tip is to try to always be next to some form of cover. That can be a wall, a box, a corner, some rocks, even a slope. There are so many uses for cover that it's hard to summarize, but here are some of the main benefits. You can present a smaller profile. If all you have visible is your head, that can be a very difficult target to hit, especially with automatic weapons at anything beyond very close range. Cover in many cases will allow you to completely cut off line of sight so you can reload, heal, reposition, revive, etc. in relative peace. Imagine trying to do any of those things when stuck out in the open. Playing around cover probably seems rather obvious, especially in a fight. The main thing here is to have cover nearby before a fight begins and throughout the fight. If you have to scramble to cover after getting shot out in the open, you may very well get there, but you're probably behind in health or may have had to use some abilities or utility to make it happen. And if you start chasing enemies or running away, it can be easy to drift into the open, which puts you in considerable danger. The difference can be subtle. Imagine running down the middle of a street with buildings either side of you. Sure, there's cover nearby, but why not run alongside the buildings instead? Or better yet, go through them if they're connected. If you get shot at in the middle of the street, you have to fight in the open or run to a building, both of which aren't ideal. If you were running alongside the buildings, you can instantly duck back inside. Or if you're moving through the buildings, you're probably the one shooting at some poor soul running out in the open. Ultimately, the takeaway here is to keep cover next to you whenever possible. You can imagine it like some implicit gameplay mechanic. You have to move from A to B, but you have to stay next to cover to do it. So instead of just running in a straight line, it would look something like this instead. Both methods get you to B, but one is far safer than the other. The fourth is to play with purpose. This doesn't mean you're having to play at a million miles an hour, sweating, tryharding, or whatever. Being engaged with the game you're playing is vitally important, not only for your performance and improvement over time, but for enjoying the game itself. Autopiloting or playing simply for the sake of playing something can be an empty and hollow experience. Having some kind of purpose or objective will make you play better and have more fun while doing it. I like to think of playing with a purpose as choosing a win condition. That doesn't literally have to mean a win condition for that game, although it certainly can, but it can also be a personal win condition, like I want to pull off some good flanks this game. So your gameplay becomes more focused around making this thing happen. For example, when I play Cassidy in Overwatch, my win condition / purpose for playing usually revolves around landing headshots. This is what I'm good at and enjoy doing, so with this in mind, it shapes my gameplay. I tend to avoid shooting at tanks and instead go for quick headshot kills on supports and DPS. It may sound obvious, but kills are extremely important for winning a fight. If I were autopiloting and just spamming healable body shots, I'm not contributing all too much or leveraging my skill set. By having this win condition of securing quick headshot kills in mind, I play better, I contribute more, I win more often, and most importantly, I have a more enjoyable time doing it. Don't worry about getting super creative or specific with these, it can be as simple as trying to win the match. End of the day, just try to play games with purpose. You'll get better faster and have more fun doing it. And the fifth and final tip is to always consider what you could have done better and what you did well. Over time, this constant reflection will shape and improve you as a player, more so than anything else. The thing is, it doesn't matter if your teammates played terribly, it doesn't matter if you're top of the scoreboard, it doesn't even matter if you played really well. Unless you played perfectly, which is pretty much impossible, there is always something you could have improved upon. Blaming teammates is a slippery slope to stagnation and frustration. You will have bad teammates. You will be the bad teammate. The enemy team will have players that have a bad game. If you play enough, it all averages out and the only constant is you. So that's what you should focus on. This doesn't mean you have to be critical and hard on yourself. It should be a constructive thought process that helps you improve upon mistakes and reinforce your successes. Be sure to check out my Clawmate mouse mod and premium gaming sleeves over at stroothgaminggear.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.